Hey, everybody. Welcome to Mirror List Monday, right here on the Eat Sleep List YouTube channel. My name is Matt Johnson, your forever gracious host, and thank you so much for being with me here today. We are now in 2026. This is the 5th day of the brand new year, our second video for this new year. And I've been thinking a little bit lately about embarrassment, because embarrassment is something that I used to think about quite often when time was moving. All right. So what I mean by this was every year for my birthday, which is in May, I would reflect. I would reflect upon the year, and probably not the best thing for any person to really do. In this case, especially a young person, is look back at all the bad that happened to you. But I used to sit there around like the week of my birthday and think, oh man, how many times did I really, truly embarrass myself, screw up, or do something really, really bad this year? And sometimes the number was really good. Sometimes low teens. I think one year I cracked single digits. Other years it was in the 20s. And 30s, high school, middle school, early adulthood. I think, those college pro wrestling years were a little rough, and there were some other occasions after that. But this is what I used to think about. All right, how can I minimize the feeling of embarrassment? Because it sucks in the moment. The feeling of being embarrassed is awful, humbling. But in hindsight, and when it comes to reflection, it is a great opportunity for growth. All right, a great opportunity to learn from mistakes and never feel that way again. And lately though, I really can't think of anything that I've done to truly embarrass myself, which is great. I mean, I think it's awesome. All right, again, nobody likes to embarrass themselves. There's a few potential theories as to why I don't feel like I have embarrassed myself in some time. Maybe my mentality has turned a corner where I care less, maybe a little bit less. Not completely less, but a little bit less about what others think of me. Maybe irrelevant stuff just doesn't affect me the way that it used to. Or just my bar for embarrassment is high because I've embarrassed myself time and time again. But I like talking about it. I do. I think embarrassment is fun, reflecting upon things that once embarrassed you, once gave you a sinking feeling in your gut. I think it's good for you. And like a couple of weeks ago, we did the 2025 Coal for Christmas list. And I pointed out in that video, one of our last little lessons from the list bits, is that I think it's good to laugh at things. All right? I think it's great to point at people, places, things, and in this case, moments and memories that bothered us at one point, that did embarrass us, and point and laugh at it. Because if you laugh at something, it takes the power that it has over you away from it. I think I said that right. So if you laugh at a bad moment from years ago that maybe has haunted you for some time, if you genuinely think it's funny and can look back on it, it really can't hurt you anymore. And we can look back at all sorts of different things. We can look back at some funny ones. We can look back at some serious moments that truly, truly embarrassed us. But I think it's good to get it out there. I don't understand people who are too prideful, arrogant, in some cases unaccountable, that feel the need to never admit these things. I think it's weak. I mean, people say it's a perspective of being strong, but I think it's weak. Talk about it, point at it, laugh at it. I have a lot of fun stuff to talk about today for my top 10 list. Hopefully, we get one or two embarrassing moments in the comment section, but let's get to my top 10. All right, everybody, it is time for my favorite part of every single video that we do. It is time to make the list. As I always encourage, please feel free to comment your list in the comment section below, or feel free to email me at eatsleeplistpod@gmail.com. That email address is in every single video description that we post. I would love to set up a dialogue with each and every single one of you. Let's get to it, man. There's a lot. I could have did a top 1,000 embarrassing moments list and still had plenty of room for other things. I want to keep this kind of fun. I want to keep it pretty lighthearted. There's a couple pretty serious ones in there, but yeah, I ready to be an open book with each and every single one of you. Let's get to it. The top 10 embarrassing moments list. Here we go. My number 10. Oh, boy. So I had a job after I moved back home from Rochester. It was not fun. There were some fun moments. The work could be fun, especially if I was doing the landscaping aspect of it. But there was my boss outside of work, great guy, loved him to death, would go grab wings with him whenever. But when you're on the clock, it was anxiety-ridden. He was a yeller. It got to me. I wasn't at a point in life where I can handle that, especially why I came home from Rochester. But my head was spinning often, and I made bad decisions it was like a survival instinct, kind of just fight or flight mode seemingly all the time. So we're out landscaping, me and this guy, and we pull up to a gas station because we need gas, and I'm not familiar with the nuances of different fuel types. I have no idea. This guy, he was the driver. He was in charge. He pulled up to a gas pump, and I didn't know the difference between anything. And I put the wrong gas type in our work truck. It was bad. It was very, very bad. It was it was a diesel truck, and I put in like that E85, and again, I had no idea any of it. So we're pulling away, the thing's smoking. It was so bad. And the guy got mad at me. I'm like, man, I'm the one who put it in, but he pulled up to the thing, and I thought that was the right move, whatever. So I was trying to save the day. I was trying to siphon gas out of the car to maybe save the engine. It was too late at that point, so some guy offered to give me a ride to Walmart, and I hopped in his car and left. And it was bad. I was getting motherfucked on the phone and all sorts of things. So that one goes to get cleaned out. I did the same thing the next week, but in a bit of a different scenario. So at this point, I'm under the impression that all trucks require diesel fuel. So the boss is letting us use his personal truck. All right. And I put diesel fuel in his unleaded gas tank, and I was white as a ghost. I was miserable. I was so upset. I mean, I was mad at myself, but the bad thing about it was, like, I never felt like I can ask questions, because you get screamed at, you get yelled at almost immediately. And because of that, like, leadership by fear kind of approach, I did stuff like that. In hindsight, it's kind of funny that I learned all about the different types of fuel from this back-to-back week incidents. But it was bad. It was really bad. I came home from that job riddled with anxiety. I probably still have a lot of anxiety from that job. I could not wait to put in my 2 weeks and just disappear, which I would do was it a year later, maybe 2 years later, but I was ready to be done. Yeah, not great. Not great. A tough lesson, but yeah. That's my number 10. That's my number 10. Number 9. Number 9. Losing my first podcast studio. This one's a little bit on the serious note, but the first podcast studio that we got, I was just looking for something. I wanted a room where I can go record and be away from home and just kind of have my stuff there, have an office space set up and ready to go. And we signed up for this place that I got through my mom, and we were like, okay, we got this room. It's very tiny. It was very tiny, and it was $300 a month. All right, the electric was bad. There was no heat. It was just a terrible, terrible situation. So I wanted to raise money to get a newer room or upgrade the room to a bigger room so we can start having in people to record and pay money to use the studio. So we set up this fundraiser, this thing inside our studio. Advertised it for weeks and probably months, honestly. It was weeks. It was weeks. And everybody is showing up, ready to show up, but we made a fatal mistake. And it was my mistake, but I should have known better, but we were going to sell alcohol at this event. Just whatever. Here's a beer, like it is what it is. And the landlord caught wind of it, called us the morning, like as the event was starting, as the fundraiser was starting, trying to, get people in the door, telling us to cease and desist. And the big thing was the sale of alcohol and all that. He was there. He was disrupting it and messed it up. I mean, he messed it up. And again, it's partially my fault for not saying no to the alcohol because it really served no purpose there. It served no purpose at all. There happened to be a winter storm that night previously, and there was the one of the maintenance people at this shitty building were checking for water pipes and probably came across it and said something, which is I mean, the rules are the rules. The rules are the rules. It's fine. But upset was I felt really, really bad about it for a very, very long time. But it was one of the greatest things that ever happened to me because we eventually got a good studio for the same price with about triple the room. All right. With a lot more perks, with heat, with internet, with lights, with good electric, like no issues in that regard. But it was a low moment and super, super embarrassing. I hate planning stuff and getting people excited for something and then just coming up short. And that's basically what happened. But yeah, screw that landlord. I mean, again, I guess I was in the wrong for the alcohol part, but the way he went about it was just awful. And that building probably should have been condemned, to be perfectly honest with you. But that's my number 9. Number 8. We're going to call this the Scribbles incident in kindergarten. I have 2 memories from kindergarten, actually. But this one, I used to love doing the book reading. I bring a book in and read it to the entire class because I loved reading. I guess I loved showing off, and it was, it was a nice thing to do. I think the class kind of encouraged it, like the teacher encouraged it, like bring a book and read it to the class, and I loved to do that. So I remember I brought in Hop on Pop by Dr. Seuss the first time. And me and my sister had a habit at the time of coloring in our books, scribbling and writing on stuff. But it was a book that I really generally loved. So I remember sitting there. I think my mom was there too. And I'm sitting there reading this book and showing it off. And I was embarrassed because I just wanted to read it. But also I knew what was going to happen. And every time I'd read a part, I'd show it off. And everybody would point and laugh and go, Scribbles, ha, ha, ha. And, it was a low moment. It was a low moment for me. And it's so silly, right? It's really silly. I mean, we were kids. And they were kids, too, the ones who pointed and laughed. But it was a low moment, that the point where I just gave up. I'm most positive I just stopped. I said, screw this, it's not worth it. So fortunately, my mom, we went at it. We got a new scribble-free version of Hop on Pop, and I came back to the class and read it, and it went a lot better that time. But very, very embarrassing. Very, very embarrassing moment, and one I wish never happened, but good to learn from. Don't color in your books, especially ones you're going to present to people. All right, number 7. This one could be a number 1, especially the way that my parents talk about it often and always. But we call this one the Kilimanjaro Safari Fart. And there's a lot of potty embarrassment moments, like toilet humor embarrassing moments. I didn't want to burden you with the details. Some of it is TMI. This one's a pretty appropriate, though. I think it's a pretty fun story. But the Kilimanjaro Safari is a awesome ride in Disney's Animal Kingdom. It's really cool. You hop on a makeshift like safari bus and you go through. They got a whole setup where all the animals are grazing and doing their thing. They got lions, hippos, giraffes, zebras, all sorts of fun animals and stuff. But anyways, we're standing in line. It's a particularly long wait, as per usual, because it's a pretty popular attraction. And I had to go to the bathroom. All right, so I let out some flatulence. We were in the middle of the line. I had been holding it in for some time because I wanted to be a decent person, but I just couldn't anymore. So I do it innocently. It's pretty quiet. It is what it is. And then all of a sudden, my family start gagging. They're not having a good time smelling this thing, and they immediately look at me. I was a bit of a heifer back then too, but they're looking at me. I go, yeah, it was me. And then what made it worse is that it just kept expanding. It kept growing, and soon people throughout the line, this little stretch that we were on, were complaining how bad it smelled. I mean, it was pretty bad. It was really bad. There was a group probably of people, like 5 groups in front of us, which was about 50 feet, maybe. That's some very attractive girl that, I mean, I was, I don't know, like 10, 12 years old, but she was older. I found it embarrassing because of that. You know, you looking up, and this girl who I found attractive at the time was like, oh my God, it smells like elephant shit. And I remember my dad just looking at me, and he laughed, and I just put my head down. My dad's really good at that. He knows like the perfect time to just hone in on the embarrassment, right? And there's another one I'm going to talk about with it a little bit too that I don't know if he remembers, but he just like something happens. There's like the perfect like 1 to 2 second like pause to let it sink in, and then he turns his head and looks at you. And he did that here, and I have not lived that down in all of my years of existing. That one is that was bad. It's pretty bad. Lord knows my mom probably filmed it or something, the whole thing, because that's what she does. But yeah, the Kilimanjaro Safari Fart. It was either 2000 or 2002. I can't remember. Tried to erase that one from memory. All right, number 6. Middle school has always been very tough. I don't look back upon my middle school years very fondly. I hated my friends back then. Looking back, I hated my friend group, the group that I associated with. There was a lot of people who, even to this day, I choose not to talk to for the way that they made me feel. But social status was always something that I wanted. In middle school, it is a jungle. It's scary. It sucks. It can be overwhelming, especially, you go from middle school or elementary school, which is a lot of, at least where I went, relatively happy, upbeat, optimistic, to middle school, which just feels dreadful. So it starts off with school shopping. I think it might have been a little bit later in the school year, but I was like, oh, wow, a South Park shirt. Maybe if I buy this, people will think I'm cool. The problem was I never watched South Park. So I bought the shirt, and I was called out by two people who I consider to be my friends. And they started laughing at me because I had no idea who the characters were. I just thought that, hey, I didn't think my plan fully through. I was so anxious and short-sighted that, I didn't think I'd have to get into a full conversation about South Park while wearing a South Park shirt. And, to this day, I despise those two individuals. And they were right for calling me out. That's why, like, in a lot of podcast stuff, I don't really talk about something unless I really, truly know about it. I want to make lists for everything, but I don't know everything. I don't care about everything. I don't respect everything. So stuff like this, like, it still haunts you because I just wanted to fit in so bad. And it's kind of sad in hindsight that I was so desperate to fit in that I would ask my parents to buy me a shirt for something that I've never, ever seen before, that I wasn't allowed to watch, for that matter, and just get completely decimated for it. So, Jaded Matthew started with moments like this. That's my number 6. Number 5. High school. All right, I always complained how I can never get a girlfriend. And then I got a phone that had texting capabilities and a girl that I didn't necessarily like at all. I actually have no idea how she got my phone number. It was probably gifted to her by somebody that did not ask my permission beforehand, but she started texting me. All right, text me. I'm real cordial, going back and forth. And this was back in the day where it was a flip phone, so it wasn't like the screen wasn't well defined. So I thought I was texting one person who knew the girl, knew that I wasn't really into her. And I thought I was texting him, but in fact, I was texting her. And it was a low point, and she's called me rude. I deserved it. I 100% deserved it. It sucked. And you know what? I think back, and the only reason why I didn't like the girl probably was because of the way that my friends talked about her. That's usually how a lot of it went down. All right. I didn't really have many of my own thoughts back then, but there is nothing worse than accidentally texting the person you think you're texting somebody else about because you didn't stop and pay attention as to who was receiving the text message. And call me rude. I'm like, oh, that's it. That was fun while it lasted, and that was the end of it. So, number 5, accidentally texting a girl bad things that I was talking bad about. Number 4. This one happened in youth football. All right, this one happened. I had a lot of embarrassing moments in youth football. I hated youth football. I used to play for this purple team in Niagara Falls. It was run by a bunch of coaches' dads who were just awful. They were really the shits as human beings, and I don't know. It took things to, like, I don't know. I know football, there has to be a certain way of coaching, but they were just, I hated them. I hated every single one of them. Still do. Whew. I feel better about that. But we were figuring out the starting positions for something. I think I was a lineman because I wasn't really good. And I was asking about who was starting. And the coach said, one guy is starting over me. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Like, but I also panicked. I go, does that mean like he starts the first play and then I get to go in? I didn't know. So they do the whole thing, and I run in. This kid gets his starting moment, and then after the first play, I run on the field. I run on the field, and the coach is yelling at me, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And I didn't know. I really didn't know. I didn't understand that somebody starting the game meant that they're just in for the whole game. I didn't understand that concept at the time. But I got off the bench, ran in, came off the field, and was just misunderstood it. But so that sucked. That was an awkward moment. And what made it worse is it was being filmed by our local television company, Adelphia. And I was sitting at home like a couple weeks later. I was sick. I remember laying on the couch, and we're watching the football game. I'm like, Dad, I really don't want to watch. He goes, no, let's watch this. And we're watching it, and it's getting close to that moment where I'm about to run out, and they just cut the whole play. They cut the whole moment out, and once again, my dad's well-timed head turn and also the laugh, the hearty laugh that he gives, that was I got to witness that. It was a tough scene. I think I had blankets over my head. Like I was laying there with blankets, and I remember just pulling them over my head. I was so upset and embarrassed. But it's a big reason why I didn't love football when I was a kid, because of stuff like that. But again, when you're in a anxiety riddled environment, when you are in a anxiety riddled environment all the time, you do silly things, you do bad things. And that one is a low point. I don't think I've ever really played football again after that. So, I did later on, but it was a waste of time. All right, number 3, going to 8th grade, modified wrestling. All right, we are in the small gymnasium at Niagara Falls High School. It is our last modified wrestling match. And which the small gym, for those who don't know, was our practice room. All right, we practiced in there. So it was nothing for us to wrestle, to get changed, and just go about our business. So I wrestled my last match, and coach is like, hey, we need singlets back. And coach was like, hey, we need singlets back. I go, okay, no problem. So I go off to the side. I got my T-shirt on. I put my T-shirt on, and I legit just pulled my singlet down. Tighty whities out there for every single parent, everybody to see. I remember looking over at my mom and one of my friend's moms, and she's just looking at me laughing. Oh boy, that was a tough one. That was a tough one to hold. Like, we all have those dreams where we're in front of our class in our underwear. When I was in pro wrestling, I used to have dreams where like I couldn't find my wrestling gear. My music was playing, so I went out in the crowd in my legitimate underwear. But never have I. Yeah, that was just a bad one. That was a bad one. Being in my underwear in front of just the whole gymnasium and everybody, every wrestler, every parent, every coach. It was an experience. So that's my number 3, the modified wrestling underwear incident of 2005. My number two. This is a locked up memory, but every time I think about embarrassing moments, this one always comes to mind. It was kindergarten graduation, and we're singing a song. All right, kindergarten graduation is like whatever, but it really doesn't matter. But they fluff it up, they make it special. So we're doing a whole ceremony thing, and we're singing songs. We're singing a song about what we want to be when we grow up. And one of the verses was like it was like a fireman, a doctor, or a policeman. And we had a hand motion for being a fireman, all right? We had a hand motion, so like we're spraying water out of a hose, okay? So that's fine. I get that. We had I think it was a doctor, but it was a hand motion for doctor, like checking up on a stethoscope. And then we got to the police person part, and there was no hand sign. So we practiced this dozens of times. They really ran us through the meat grinder when it came to getting this thing right. But for some reason, at our kindergarten graduation, I decided to add a finger gun to the policeman part. So we do the fire hose, we do the doctor thing, and I reached into my pocket, pulled out the finger Glock, and go, bam. And all I remember, my teacher, Mrs. Godowski, just looking at her face. And she always had this very stern, bug-eyed look. And boy, oh boy, did I get it. And then the worst part was that we rewatched it like a week later. Because it was like a ceremony. It wasn't the actual like last day. And so now everybody in my class seen the finger gun incident, and everybody's just looking at me, and I was ready to cry. Classic moment. Yeah, the look on my teacher's face was not pleasant, but it was improv. Like, I don't know, the finger gun, policeman. It was funny. Good times. Anyways, that's my number 2. And number 1, there's so much embarrassing moments with me and social media that I just lumped it all together. I've talked about my disdain for social media, the things that I would do for attention on social media, the way that I talked about people, about things. There's times where, I haven't been on Facebook in a year and a half, but when I was looking through Facebook memories and I'd see stuff, and I'm like, man, I really wish I could give my younger self a wedgie for posting that. Just a lot of the emotional nonsense for it, and there was so much embarrassment when it came to that. A lot of people think lesser of me because of the way I handled social media, because the things I would do and say on social media. I've talked about this a lot over the course of this show, but I can't do this list and really just flat out ignore it. Because it is. And I'm really glad. I'm really proud of the way that I handle social media now. I feel like I've come a long way in the way that I deal with it. So just social media moments, just the talking about people, bad, just the views that did not have to be posted. I took the question that Facebook, I don't know if they still ask, but they once asked, what's on your mind? And I think it took me a little bit too long to realize that not everybody, or even anybody at all, needs to know what's on your mind at any time. So that is it, everybody. Those are my top 10 embarrassing moments. It's a lot of fun to get this stuff off my chest. Hopefully some of you guys can get a good little laugh about it. Look at some of my mistakes again. There are thousands of embarrassing moments in my life, some more serious than others, but yeah, that is the list. Thank you so much. I love and appreciate each and every single one of you. We'll see you next time. Do you even list?